Well, good afternoon. It's Captain Bill, and welcome to this edition. This is going to be a pretty special edition. I'm going to be talking about the second love of my life, the Royal Mail ship Segwun. The Segwun operates up on Lake Muskoka, up in northern, central Ontario, a couple of hours north of Toronto. As I said, or I don't know whether I said it, it's the last hand-fired coal steamship in North America, and as such, it's a pretty historic piece. It actually was originally built in 1887 as the Nipissing II. A.P. Cockburn started the Muskoka Lakes Navigation Company in 1866 with his first ship, the Winona. It was followed in 1871 by the original Nipissing. The original Nipissing burned in, I believe, 1886 and sank, but they salvaged the engines and they ordered an iron hull from the Clyde in Scotland, shipped it over, put it together, and it went into service as Nipissing II. It ran till I think 1913. Motor was worn out and broken down. They had a lot of trouble with it. They were backing out of Milford Bay one day and it quit. It got towed to Gravenhurst and there it sat. It got used every once in a while as a dormitory, but 1924 rolled around and the company needed another ship, and they checked the hull and they said, "Hey, she's sound. Let's use this hull." So they went out and they bought a couple of used Doty steam engines. One was 1915, one was 1918. I don't know for sure, but I don't think at the time that they realized that they were both the same rotation. And you can't have that because the bow's going to push if they don't counter-rotate. So 1925 technology, it was real simple. They installed the port engine backwards. Problem solved. Now, they didn't solve all of the problems. As a side-wheeler, which she originally was, she had one large barn door for a rudder, and it only turned about 15 degrees. To say it's the worst handling boat on the planet comes pretty darn close. She's a cantankerous old gal. She's gorgeous, but boy is she cantankerous. I actually found out about her in 1972. My parents used to rent cottages, and my great Aunt Jean would come up and visit, and she'd always buy my parents a present for having her. So 1972, we were actually renting a cottage, Stafford's Cottage on the Indian River just outside of Port Carling, and bought our cottage on Pine Island, and that closed on Labor Day. So we got out of Stafford's Cottage, we had to go home for a few days and come back up, and Aunt Jean gave Mom and Dad the gift of this book called Tales of the Muskoka Steamships, which is written by a gentleman by the name of Richard Tapley. It started out, it was his thesis or whatever for his history degree. He's quite the character. He does commentary on the Segwun, and a little aside, I guess he got upset when they decided to paint the hulls green because they'd been black for quite a while, and he got caught out there in a rowboat one night painting the green hull black. He's a little eccentric, and his jokes are terrible. But that's an aside. So I met the Segwun, found out about the Segwun in 1972. As soon as I could the next year when we went up to the cottage, I jumped in our tin boat, went down to Gravenhurst, and it was a museum.
I'm here with a very great announcement. Alas, I've opened my store. It's open today now.
We've been working on fundraising and doing something.
Now you may want to know about my pricing policy. It's
quite
quite simple. You all know us. Our glasses are thrifty gals, and they won't touch anything unless they be 25% off. And that's why I always Scotsmen have been circumcised. So the Ontario Road Builders Association donated
whoever it
is that they buy the stuff because I don't have a shop, I don't know where it comes from.
Next to
everything is guaranteed to be 40% off or more. A better bargain on finest products you'll never find.
Railway tracks. So they pulled her up on the railway tracks. The hull was in terrible shape. They had to literally remove all the hull plate and replate it. And I think that took place in 73, and I'm pretty sure it was 1974. I went down and I watched the original Prime Minister Trudeau, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, relaunch her in 1974. But as old and as cantankerous she was, and the rules changing with Transport Canada, it took them 7 years before she went into service. And on her first sea trial, some sort of a valve or something was missing or got stuck and wouldn't work, and trying to find parts for a 1915 or a 1918 Doty steam engine isn't all that easy. Turns out, if you're a Torontonian, you're familiar with the tug on Hanlon's Point, which I can't remember the name of right now. Anyway, it happened that whatever this valve was, there was one on that thing, which is out of service, parked on land as a display or something, and so they
Oh, good afternoon and welcome. It's good old William Alexander Alistair Cameron Freeman Thompson. I'm the Bear of Ayrshire, and I'm here with a very great announcement. Alas, I've opened my store. It's open today now on thrifties.com. Now, you may want to know about my pricing policy. It's quite simple. You all know us, our lasses are thrifty gals, and they won't touch anything unless they be 25% off. And that's why all we Scotsmen have been circumcised. So to tempt the lassies and get them to come to wherever it is that they buy the stuff, because I don't have a shop, I don't know where it comes from, everything is guaranteed to be 40% off or more. A better bargain on finer products you'll never find.
Well, that's going to be an interesting part to edit out. I guess my editorial skills are going to get a little bit more of a test. Anyway, they got the part off of the old tug there on Hanlon's Point and got her solved. And I can remember going down there being all excited because she was running and laughing hysterically because they had a Great Lakes freighter captain on her as the skipper, and this guy came in about 30 feet wide of the dock, and they're flinging mucky fists, and I was kind of like, why don't you just pull alongside and drop the lines on? Well, I found out why. In 2016, I was scheduled to meet for an interview with Kingston Thousand Island Boat Lines. I was home sitting at my desk, and as a lark, I said, I'm going to send a job application to the Steamships. Well, I sent it up on Monday, and first thing Tuesday morning, John Miller was on the phone saying, Bill, how quick can you come up for an interview? And so I went up, had the interview, got hired, and went up. We started the day after the Victoria Day weekend, so I went up on and my first job was on the scaffolding painting the stack. Whatever, you got to get the boats ready. So I was there 3 hours, and all of a sudden word comes down from the office to go over and get familiar with the Winona 2, which is the replica to twin diesel. Looks like an old steamer, but it's, twin diesel. So I went over and wandered around there, and the word was that Transport Canada was coming for inspection in the morning. And it turned out that the gentleman who was the first mate went down to Dr. Heltz to get his marine medical. And the doctors won't give you your marine medical if you've had a 12-pack at 10:30 in the morning. So the solution was I got hired to replace Leo Schreiber. Leo was captain of the Chichimon, but the province of Ontario forces you to retire at 65. So Leo came over to, in 2000 when they built the Winona 2, to skipper it. And so the solution with this gentleman not being able to have a license was that Leo and I were going to alternate as mates on the Winona. And it was hilarious because Leo's as cantankerous as they can be when they was on the Winona and they told me I had to go to the Segwun. He said, I'm not going on that fucking boat, it's on fire. Well, now he was on the Segwun, and the word came down, there was a charter on Thursday. Leo was going to go over there and be his mate, and Leo's like, the hell I am, I'm not getting on that damn boat. Hey, I'm no dummy. If I've got a choice between hanging in the air on the scaffolding or sitting in the wheelhouse looking at cottages, no problem, boys and girls, I'm going on the cruise. Unfortunately, it didn't work out 100% the way it was supposed to. Leo refused to alternate, and I only got to run the Segwun maybe a handful of times. So officially, I was the backup captain on the Segwun, but I didn't get to run her very often. But being on the Winona was great. Glenn Murley, the senior skipper, was great, and she's just reminded me of a story. There's going to be a few Muskoka Steamship episodes for sure, because as these things pop into my mind, it was pretty rare that Glenn and I think it was probably only a one-time occurrence, would end up on the Seggy together. And anyway, we were on the Segwun, and you come up Muskoka Bay, and you have to turn hard to starboard for Muskoka Narrows, which is about 60 feet wide. As you're coming up, there's a red marker on the port side. Well, there was these 6 people in a rental boat, and they went on the wrong side of the buoy, and they come around, and then they get up to this next buoy, and they spun the hub right out of the prop. It's kind of watching. Well, the next thing you know, they're right in front of the Segwun, and the Segwun does not stop, and it doesn't handle. So we actually hit these guys, but so softly that they just kind of rolled down the side of the boat. But I'll never forget, the one guy had a life jacket on, and he didn't have it done up, and he couldn't swim. And he was the guy, of course, that jumped into the lake. So it was kind of funny. We got back to town. As we were going back into town, we could see this rental boat just being towed into the rental place. We got off the Segwun, and Len says, "Come on, we're going over there." I said, "You're damn right we are." So I wanted to go over and kill one of these guys for damn near. Well, it put us in big jeopardy. I mean, they could have sank and ruined the Segwun. I wanted to go wring their necks or kill them, and Glenn was just going over to make sure they weren't hurt. But it's if that boat could talk. The story is that her last skipper, she ran in the 50s, and I think she retired in 58 or 59. She ran into the wall at Port Carling and into the lock gate, and she was pretty cursed. A lot of things happened to the old girl, and the rumor is that her last qualified or good skipper, Jack Arias, who was alive or was, ran her for quite a few years, and she was his girl, and Jack loved her, that when Jack died, he came back and he haunts the Segwun. There's actually a book about Muskoka ghosts, and one of the chapters is Captain Jack and the Segwun. And if you followed me before, you know I'm as superstitious as they come. And having heard of all the stories of the Seggy, I'm convinced that old Captain Jack's on there keeping care of her. There was a guy, I can't think of the name. Anyway, some captain, and he decided to zip right down these docks, about 15 feet off of them. Didn't realize that at the end of these docks there was a great big point that stuck out. Needless to say, he didn't make the turn, and he tore a hole in the bottom of her. So they were lucky enough they were able to put a cement box in it, and he got fired for recklessness. And of course he came back and he countersued for, stupid bugger, countersued for wrongful dismissal. So no problem, the navigation company just turned around and said, we're going to sue you for wrongful, or for destruction of property. Another story that's pretty funny, and here we go again where I can't remember the name of it, but there's a stretch we run down. And of course everybody's in love with the Seggy, and the big thing is getting the captain blow the whistle. So this particular channel, Russ Brown was the manager of the Steamships at the time, and this is after the Segwun, in the 80s or whatever. Russ gets a call, and this guy says, look, I come up to my cottage in Muskoka to relax and enjoy the peace and the quiet. And that damn steamboat goes down here blowing your horn, blowing its whistle like no tomorrow. I get absolutely no peace and quiet. Russ was thinking, he says, sir, he says, I'm real sorry. He says, I'll take care of it. He says, well, stop. Could you please give me your name and number, and I'll touch base, make sure everything's okay. So the guy did. So the next day, the Segwun went out, orders not to blow the whistle. That afternoon, the phone starts ringing. Hey, Segwun went by, something wrong with it? Whistle's not blowing. Oh, no, we had a complaint, and the gentleman says, disturbed his peace and quiet. So if you'd like to speak to him, here's his phone number. So that 5 or 6 calls the first day, and the next day there's 10 or 12 calls. Well, if you want to speak to this gentleman, here's your number. Well, after, 4 or 5 days, whatever it was, Russ gets a call. He says, listen, you tell that damn steamship to start blowing its whistle. My phone's ringing off the hook and driving me crazy. So, I wish that old boat could talk. She's 75. Oh, as the Segwun, she's 100 years old. She was rebuilt as the Segwun in 1925, and she was originally built in 87, so is that right? That doesn't seem long enough. 100? Oh yeah, 100 plus 25. So she's 130, the hull's 138 years old now. Of course, it's been replated and all that fun stuff, but I have a funny feeling. I tell you guys, I do these things unscripted, and it was kind of funny because I didn't have a topic for this week, and I said that I'm going to do the Seggy, and I'm going to stop right now for commercial, check my time, and we'll be back to either close or tell you a little bit more. I also want to, I am going to throw a couple of videos in here, at least so you get a picture of the old gal. This isn't perfect, but I think it's not bad. Thanks. I'll be right back after the commercial. A little bit upset because she didn't get to make her appearance. Too darn bad. I'm curious. I've had some people say that this is supposed to be educational and stick to a topic and stuff. Needless to say, I could probably make a whole season just out of Muskoka Steamship videos. I really, I can't ask you hard enough to comment, comment, and subscribe. But I want to know what you guys want. Do you want just boat stuff? Do you want the ghastly, ghoulish family from Scotland to come? There's more of them that want to join on the show. You want more cooking? You want technical stuff about how we make these videos? I think that could be pretty interesting. But it's up to you guys, and I'm not going to know unless you comment. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. I haven't seen it in its entirety, but I have a feeling it's going to be our best yet.